I'm going to show you how to elevate your horsemanship and get your horse connected to you, not your gear. And you'll understand what I mean by that in a moment. But this is a way to get that bond that you want with your horse and get your horse lighter and easier to work with. It's a really good system and it's an important system for horsemanship. So hang around and we'll get right into it. I want to introduce to you why I am such a needy horse person. Needy meaning I want the horse to pay attention to me. I want to be totally selfish and have the horse pay attention to me. And this is why I don't use flags for my training, why I prefer to use a whip, just a 110 centimeter dressage whip, and why I don't do things like shaking the rope at the horse to get a horse to go backwards. So, does it mean I never use a flag or the rope? No, I do. But what I don't do is I don't use them as my core training tool. And in fact, I don't even want to use the whip. And here's the reason why. When you're riding or when you're on the ground with your horse, think about having what's called a connected cue. Now, a connected cue, a few flies around here today, a connected cue is that I'm going to start very light and I'm going to use a pressure system up to a gradient of say 10. So pressure and release is how we get the horse motivated through pressure, and the release is how we teach the horse. And what we need to do is to be very good with our timing, which means when we need pressure, we apply it. When we don't need pressure, we take it away. And we need to take it away instantly. So a lot of people are very, very slow. And so when, if I were to use the rope, what it does is it creates a lag time. So even though it's only minute sometimes, or if I were to swing the rope like that, there's a little bit of, see the little lag time there? So here we go, I'm going to swing the rope and now I'm going to stop it. And so the rope's still flipping around. Whereas if I use a whip, let's say I need it first of all with a rope for the horse, just indicate for the horse to go forward, and then it goes forward and I stop. There's still this swinging of the rope going, as I said. But with the whip, if I needed it, I can just lift it up and put it straight down, and there's no lag time, it stops immediately. But again, I don't want to use the whip. So I want to go down to what, on the scale of 0 to 10, I want to be at about, say, 0.5 or 1. And at 0.5, my cue is to think about what I want the horse to do, and specifically what part of the horse I want to move. So, for example, generally on the ground, there's 3 parts of the horse that I would focus on, not all at the same time, it just depends on what I'm doing. But one of those parts is the nostril of the horse right here. The other part is the shoulder, and I mean right at the point of the shoulder there. And then when I talk about the hip, I mean right up at this point here with the hip, and they're the 3 spots. And so when I do want to focus in there, I want to zero in on a spot that's about, say, a 50-cent piece or a 20-cent piece. And I want to work out, where do I want that spot to move? Do I want it to go back? Do I want to go forward? Do I want it to go left? Do I want it to go right? Generally, if I'm on the ground, I'm not too much interested in going up and down, but left, right, forward, back would be the main things. Side and also sideways. Now, and I guess that's for left and right anyway. But in the first part of my cue, I want to think about focusing on, let's say I'm asking the horse to come forward, I want to focus on the hip coming forward, not the whole horse, just that hip. Now, if the horse doesn't respond to that, then I need to increase the pressure. So what I might do is put a little hint of pressure on the horse's head, but I don't want to pull the horse forward. I would just hold pressure if I needed to, but I don't want to pull the horse forward, to make that point again. What I want to be doing is focusing on the hip to have the hip come forward. Now, if the horse doesn't respond, and I prefer not to use the pressure on the head anyway, to start with, in this scenario of just coming forward. So if the horse doesn't respond, the next thing I would do at the horse is maybe use my finger or click at the horse. Say with my tongue, I'd go like that, or my mouth. But then if the horse doesn't respond, what I'll do is introduce a kiss. So I'll change the click to a kiss and keep kissing until the horse started to move. Or keep the clicking until the horse started to move, and then if the horse doesn't move, use the kiss, and then if a horse doesn't move, I'm going to ask or add something in. Now, generally speaking, when I'm first training a horse or training a horse, what I'm going to do is use the whip, because of the speed of which I can start it and stop it. So if the horse didn't move when I was kissing, then I could raise the whip, and I would keep kissing. Then if the horse didn't move, then I could shake the whip, and then if the horse didn't move, I could tap the horse lightly with the whip if I wanted to. But the point about this is I'm connecting all of those different aspects of that cue, and that's why I call it a connected cue. So we've got, the thought, then we've got clicking, kissing, lifting the whip, shaking the whip, tapping the horse with the whip. Now, generally speaking, I want to keep my feet as still as possible. And in most cases, if you see through my training, I hardly move my feet at all. So if you look at some of my YouTube clips or whatever, especially with the float loading, you'll see I basically don't use my feet. I want the horse to do the walking for me. I want the horse to respond. Now, if I'm sending the horse backwards, sure, I've got to move my feet. And there are other exercises. It's not that I don't ever move my feet, but I always want to minimize the amount that I do. So think in terms of a connected cue. And so for me, if I use a stick with a flag, I'm already started up the scale of about 3 or 4 or maybe even 5. And sometimes, like today there's no wind, but on a windy day that flag's going to move around whether I want it to or not. And I don't want that stimulation. Now, does it mean I never use a flag? Well, generally in the training, no, but I might use the flag to help with the conditioning of the horse, or what some people might call desensitization. I'd rather call it conditioning. But that's about the only time I ever use a flag. Now, and as I said, I want to get rid of the whip as well, because I want to move the horse. I want to be the needy horse person where the horse is focusing in on my energy. And so with my energy, I need to have calm, assertive energy. And so assertive means that the horse will feel my intent and I will have the right intent, and so the horse will move to that intent. So as an example, going backwards here, where I want to have the horse go backwards from is this point of the shoulder here. I don't want to be pushing through the head. I will hold to steer the horse backwards if I need to, and stop the horse coming forward, because I'll just hold and block. But if the horse's hip goes that way, I will push the horse's head this way. If the horse's hip goes that way, I'll push the horse's head this way, just to steer the horse straight back. But how I want the horse to move back is for me to be able to think about this shoulder going back, and say to the horse back, 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 and wiggle my finger back, back. And if a horse doesn't start to move, then I can direct the rope into that shoulder, back, 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 and increase the pressure until the horse starts to go back. Now, when you're first training a horse and the horse doesn't understand, you've got to reward the slightest try, because I don't want to have to use that much energy when I get my horse to go back. So I'm going to try again. Back, 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 back. There we go. There, the horse is thinking about going back, so I cut the pressure. Now I'll ask for a bit more. Back, 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 back. There we go. There's a step, and we'll keep building this up. Back, back, back. And if I want the horse to go back with a bit more vigor, I can just drive the rope into that hip there, into that shoulder, sorry, or into the chest. Now, as the horse understands what that means, things will get better. So now I just want to point. Okay. or I want to just use the back word. So I don't give many verbal cues to a horse. The only two that I generally give is the word back for backing. And I like that one to teach the horse to back off my verbal command because it's very good for float loading. Because I only want the horse ever to come out of the float when I say the word back. And the other word is when I say whoa and I want the horse to stop. But let's try here again. So it's back, 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 use my finger, back, 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 start to swing the rope, the horse starts to go back. Keep going, back, back, and I want a bit more speed here. I can just ask for that there, and gradually that will develop. Come here. Okay, so let's try it from out here. Back, 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 back. Now I'll use my body to go towards the horse, back, back, back. But I don't want to swing the rope because I want it to be about me. I'm the needy horseman. I want the horse to tune in to my energy, not shaking the rope, which replaces my energy. Okay? And if you're starting at shaking the rope to start with, you're starting too far up the scale as far as I'm concerned. And that's why I like this thing about a connected cue, where we start with the thought, then we start with absolute minimal effort, and we gradually increase it until the horse starts to perform for me. So the back up here with Flynn here is nowhere near perfected, but if I want more performance now, he starts to understand I can lift that energy and start to get him to perform. But as we progress, he will start to come forward, or rather go backwards, off either just saying back, well that's what I want him to go, back, 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 or just wiggling my finger at that shoulder there. So I hope that helps.